Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video I want to show you what new you can expect from OptiRough in Mastercam 2023. So let's rough it out with OptiRough. Let's go through the options that you have new in Mastercam 2023, and then using the front plane we will rough rest the material. Okay. For the purpose of this video, I created stock model that will represent our initial stock, and also I will use this stock model for our simulation. Okay, so this is our material that represents our material. And I've created this a bit oversized, so you see that the block is much bigger than it should be, and it is just to show you a few features. And also it is stock and above and below the 3D model. Let's go straight to the parameters of OptiRough and let's see what new. Okay, so this is the same. This is the model geometry is still the same. The toolpath control, this is what was changed, what is going to be changed in Mastercam 2023. And in Mastercam 2023, the containment boundary is no longer required, and Mastercam will of course ensure that everything is approached safely and everything is machined, okay, without containment boundary. In previous versions, you of course had to select boundary chain or take the automatic boundary to add silhouette boundary, okay? And now the automatic boundary, you have 4 selections. Of course, because we don't have to add any automatic boundary, so you have none, you have silhouette, the same option as in last Mastercam 2022, and bounding rectangle and bounding circle. And we will go through that in a minute. Also, you have this tick box option here to include stock. Tool page was completely redesigned, but we were already talking about this in our video. Holder page, the collision checking has been improved against 3D model to avoid gouge, and Mastercam is able to recognize the stock that is outside the cutting boundary, containment boundary, or outside the cutting depths. Okay. Stock, this option is the same. However, we have now detect undercut stock, and I'm going to present this as awesome option. I like it, and I'm going to present it in a minute. Cut parameters, as you see, our micro lift and retract has been moved to linking parameter page. And as you see here, we have this new design of linking parameter page where we can set everything in one place. We have our leads, we have our filtering and retracts. We can set our distance for the tool to keep down, and we have this micro lift and the retract condition that was previously in cut parameter page. And also the steep shallow page is redesigned, and the new way of setting your maximum and minimum depth is really good, and we'll go through that in this video. So let's go to the toolpath control, and this automatic boundary silhouette, it is the same result that you could expect in Mastercam 2022. In our first example, as you see on the screen, we have strategy from outside and the compensate to outside as well, and additional offset of 5 mil. Let's have a look in the parameters actually. So the strategy is outside and compensate to outside, so the tool is on the outside of the containment boundary. And of course we include the tool radius, and additionally we offset 5 mil away, so we give extra room for machining the stock. And this is exactly the same as I mentioned in Mastercam 2022 in the previous version. So let's move to the second example. And in the second example, I want to show you that we do not have to select any containment boundary, and we can still select the strategy from outside or inside, and I can still use the offset, so that still stays the same. And of course, we do not select any stock, and this is new in Mastercam 2023. So you don't have to select the containment boundary, the machining boundary, and you don't have to select the stock, and Mastercam will generate the path, the toolpath anyway in the safe manner. So this is the silhouette boundary, that is not boundary at all, no boundary at all. So the third example, we're going to create the bounding rectangle, and basically Mastercam is creating the boundary for us, and this is something similar as you would use a bounding box. So Mastercam will fit tight rectangular shape around our 3D model. And the next one is circle, bounding circle, and this is very similar to the previous option. Instead of rectangular, the circle is being fitted around our 3D model, and it is slightly oversized because we have this offset of 5mm. That's why it's slightly bigger than our 3D model, and we don't use stock. And of course, you can also combine your bounding automatic boundary or a boundary with the stock, and in this case the bounding box will be applied only where your stock is. That's why it's trimmed on top and the bottom. In this way, Mastercam will produce the toolpaths only where the stock is. Let's move to next operation, and here I'm going to show you another new thing that is really good. So when you put the tick include stock, and I'm going to leave the settings as same as we had in previous operation, the bounding circle. And when you include stock, Mastercam will include this stock from the stock page and will machine the whole 3D model with this stock. And this is the stock that I include, so one previous operation and the stock model. And of course you need to remember that on the toolpath control you need to include stock, and in this way Mastercam will produce cuts or passes in the area calculated from model geometry page and stock page, and in our case it's this stock model. And as you see, we are roughing the whole stock model that we selected. And we couldn't do it in previous version of Mastercam without creating the boundary chain. So another option is when you have rest material ticked and you select your stock model, and then without selecting any containment boundary, Mastercam will automatically produce the passes to include this stock model. Okay, so if you select that rest material, your stock model, and nothing here, Mastercam automatically will cover also the stock, which is great. So another new thing that is in Mastercam 2023 in OptiRough is when you selecting the steep and shallow. So at the moment it is automatically detect depth, but what I can do is, because we have selected our stock, I can tick include stock, and I can see to detect the minimum depth of this stock. And Mastercam will tell us the minimum depth when it's including the stock. Okay, so your model geometry here plus your stock that is assigned here. And in Mastercam 2022 and the previous versions, if you include the stock, you have to select the minimum depth to be above this stock model. And this is no longer required in Mastercam 2023. I can set that even to -10. and also the maximum depth. I can, for example, tell Mastercam to include stock. I can detect the stock. Okay. Without, it will tell me without. Or I can just click those two options and Mastercam will just automatically generate the passes to cover the whole stock model that we selected here. So if you have ticked include stock, it will also calculate those depths based on stock model selected here. And this is our result. So look at that. We start with -10 and we go all the way down to cover the full stock here. In case you want to machine material only to the bottom of the 3D model, you can ask Mastercam to automatically detect depth without including the stock. And look at this. We are cutting only the 3D model depth, maximum depth. That is really cool. Next two toolpaths I created in Mastercam 2022, and to cover the oversized stock model I created the boundary chain and use it as a containment boundary to ensure that the whole stock model is machined. And then I've created the stock model where as my initial stock I used this stock model from the beginning here. And then I calculate based on this toolpath here. Okay, so this is basically the result from the previous toolpath. And what I want to do now is to machine those 3 holes, maybe a bit of sides, and basically I want to rough the part from the front tool plane. And to do that, I went to another OptiRough toolpath, set my planes, tool plane and construction plane to front. My work coordinate system is still on top. And then on the stock page, as my stock, I selected the second stock model, which is this one here, and it is calculated from this OptiRough operation. And in the toolpath control, automatic boundary is set to bounding rectangle. So let's quickly see the result. And yes, this is the result from Mastercam 2022. So as you see, we do rough the whole rest of the material, but Mastercam extends those toolpaths all the way to the end to the bottom of the 3D model. And this is a lot of air cuts is produced in this operation. And to be honest, this is not the best result. And I don't want my CAM system to produce so many cuts that are cutting fresh air. Okay, this is not efficient way. We want to remove as much material as possible and as fast as possible, and that is slowing the cycle down. So in new release of Mastercam 2023, we have this new option here, detect undercut stock. And when you place the tick, so it's exactly the same operation from Mastercam 22, but in Mastercam 23 I just put the tick in front of the detect undercut stock. And this is what, look at that, that's completely different. This is the result I like. And there is no air cut. The material is not cut all the way to the bottom of the 3D model. Basically, this is the efficient roughing, because we only rough places where the material is, where the stock is to be machined. Okay, so look at that, 2 depth cuts here, 2 depth cuts on the walls, and the toolpath is, the passes are produced only where the material is. Look at that, nicely done, cut, that's awesome. Okay, so this is the improvement I will use a lot. Look at the difference, this is completely different toolpath. Look at how much wasted motion we had comparison to this one. Okay, let's even go far and let's compare the roughly time. I don't have any speeds and feeds selected, but it can give you the indication. So this one was 9 minutes. Okay, 9 minutes against new method. Wow, 3 minutes. Okay, so 9 minutes against 3 minutes. That's good. 6 minutes saved straight away by placing one tick. Awesome. Okay, that's all for today's update. Let me guys know if you have any questions in the comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.